But when we're in the middle of this hardship or this challenge that's going on, I think there are 6 key questions we can start to ask ourselves that can help us figure out what to do. The first question is this: is there anything I can do to change my situation for the better? Is there anything I can do to change my situation for the better? And by the way, the answer is almost always yes. Now, I'm not saying that you can completely change your husband or whatever, but I'm saying there's almost always something you can do that is within your ability that will impact the situation. We can't just whine. We can't just feel self-pity, even though it's so tempting to just let yourself go there, right? But in a sense, if we refuse to do anything, we're kind of being lazy. And I think we've probably all been in that spot where you're just like, you're just like, and we kind of have that whole pity party, and we could just hang out there forever and be victims forever. But in a sense, that's kind of being, in a sense, lazy, because it doesn't lead to any forward progress when you just camp in that spot. And there's a time for grief. When you're in the middle of it, there is a time for grief. But at some point, you do have to say, okay, is there anything I can do to impact my situation? Here's kind of like the analogy. Like if you're, out in a boat in the middle of Lake Whatcom and the boat sinks, and all of a sudden you found yourself in the water. I mean, you can start treading water and go, I can't believe this has happened. My boat just sunk. Treading water, dog paddling or whatever, how you tread water. And you're just treading water, and you're treading water, and like, I'm just getting so tired of this, and I can't believe the boat sank, and I'm just treading water, and pretty soon you're just gonna sink yourself. Or you can make a decision. What can I do in this situation? And you could start swimming for the shore. You could actually take an action to move forward and swim to the shore. But sometimes we just sit there and we tread water and go, I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this has happened. I can't believe this has happened. And we don't do anything to fix the situation, anything that's within our power to move forward. Proverbs 13:4 puts it this way: a sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. So, maybe that sounds kind of weird, but sometimes we're kind of sluggards when we get into that valley situation, and there's a time for grieving for sure, but at some point we have to ask ourselves, is there anything I can do to move forward? Is there anything I can do? Second question: what guidance does the Bible offer my situation? What guidance does the Bible offer for my situation? That's the second question. Okay, third question that you need to ask yourself: what fears are keeping me from working to change my situation? What fears are keeping me from working to change the situation? Because often that's one of the root problems, right? I might kind of even know what I should do, but we are all consumed with so many fears. Yeah, see, that's it. So it's like this fear piece is very, it's huge, isn't it? Okay, so the next question we have to ask ourselves is, how can I overcome these fears to take steps to improve my situation? How can I overcome these fears to take steps to improve my situation? We have these fears, and even though we've talked about how to overcome them, I don't know if we're just not applying it or what. So let's go to the fifth question to ask ourselves, because helps me. What promises of God can I cling to in my situation? What promises of God can I cling to in my situation? Because this is it for me. I don't know about anybody else, but because I often kind of know what I should do. And because I'll look at the Bible like, what should I do? And I'll figure out, okay, I should do this. And then I'll go, yeah, but I have these fears. And for me, a lot of my fears are related to my upbringing, lots of rage whenever anything was, anyone contradicted my dad. And so it's like, I have fear of confrontation, but I recognize that fear. But the only thing that helps me overcome my fears are the promises of God. So that's what I cling to. So what promises of God can I cling to in my situation? Because we need an anchor in the storm. But if you're anchored to the Word of God.
Oh my gosh.
This is a very well thought out illustration, people.
Awesome.
Okay. If you're anchored to the Word of God, then when the storm hits, boom, you just keep on popping right back up because you're anchored to the Word of God. No, I can't look that. I'm old. You just keep on bouncing back because you're anchored to something really solid. And it's really true. It's really, really true. When you're anchored to the Word of God, I mean, I often call God, like when I'm praying to Him, I'll often refer to Him as my anchor. Because or my rock. I'll often call Him my rock or my anchor because that is who He is in my life. He's my anchor. He's my rock. Because storms hit my life all the time, but I go back to His promises and I'm like, okay, I can move forward. It's okay. So can I share with you some of my favorite promises of God?
Yes.
Okay, I think I wrote the verses, the actual references down for you. And as I read these verses, just circle the ones that resonate with you and you're like, I need this promise of God. And some of these will be very familiar to you. Hebrews 13:5. Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. Oh, that's the best one, don't you think? I mean, because people come and go, friends come and go, sometimes even husbands come and go. Not hopefully in this group, but I mean, you just can't, count on anything for sure. I mean, I could get run over by a truck tomorrow, and you'd be like, "Where's our SOS leader?" Well, someone else will have to take over because you just can't count on anything except for God. But He says, "Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you." Is that not the most awesome thing? So no matter what happens, He is there. Psalm 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This is Proverbs 3:5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. Love that. A reminder. And this one's cool because it says don't lean on your own understanding. Because in our own eyesight, it's like, this looks impossible, right? It just looks impossible. God can't fix this. It's just impossible. No, it says trust in God. Don't think about your own thoughts on this. Just acknowledge Him, and He's going to make a straight path for you. Okay, just like two more. Isaiah 54:5. This is a verse for the single women or the women who feel like their husband isn't much of a husband right now. Isaiah 54:5. For your Maker is your husband. The Lord of hosts is His name, and the Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. Sometimes we all need that one. Whether you're single, whether you're married, sometimes you just need, I need you to be my husband, God. And He says He is. And then one more. Romans 8:28. I think I wrote 8:29. It's Romans 8:28. Yeah, sorry, little typo there. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose. And isn't that a verse that a lot of us have hung on to too? When you can't tell why this is happening. This beautiful promise that in all things, even the messy, ugly parts of your life, the heartbreaking parts, that God says, I'm going to work this out in an amazing way to bring something good out of it. Okay, we're going to go to the final one here, the final question. What two godly people could help encourage me and help keep me accountable to do what I know I should do?